Hey Yagaho, little boys and girls. Welcome back for week 4 of the GBA Global Battle Association, where we are going to attempt to protect this house another week against the newcomers to the league, the Minnesota Timburrwolves. This was originally supposed to be a game against Swaglif and the Pittsburgh Steelix, but as aforementioned and elaborated on elsewhere, he left the league for whatever reason. And so his team, well, not so much his team, but his 0-2 record was passed off to TheSorkanist, who is the coach of the Timburrwolves, new addition, mid-season replacement to the league. And it's pretty alright, but there's obviously some pluses and minuses that come into this game as a result of that. You know, on the plus side, I don't have to play, you know, a guy who was really good and made it to the conference championships last year and only didn't make the finals on a damage roll, pretty much. And also because of the ridiculous trades that Sork did on his first week. I didn't get to use them last week, but this is the first week. He'll be able to use the 8 new things that he has that he did not have last week. What the carp? You know, maybe he doesn't quite know how they all gel together just yet. You know, certainly if he traded for them, there are probably things he's more comfortable using. But on the negative side, he's kind of a mystery. I don't have a season's worth of, footage to go back and watch and see tendencies or anything like that. And likewise, I've never seen him use, the vast majority of the guys he's going to be bringing here. So it's a lot of question marks, and basically we're just going to be hoping it's a lot of question marks for him as well. Looking at what he has, I kind of pigeonhole it as a lot of physical stuff and not too much special, so that's definitely what I'm going to be gearing the bulk towards this week. As gonna go ahead and get started here under team preview, and we can see exactly what he brought and did not bring. And we see Chesnaught, Keldeo, Florges, Bronzong, Infernape, which is probably the thing I was most afraid of, because I give Ape mad respect. And Drapion. Not appearing is Garchomp, Gliscor. Hint, hint, that's why I brought a lot of ice-type attacks. Omastar, Umbreon, which he's expressed that he does not like and will probably be dropped, so I didn't think he'd bring it, as well as Mega Beedrill. So, I looked at all that and I was like, Keldeo is going to be a special attacker, of course. Omastar would be, but I don't know how much he's going to appreciate it. Florges isn't really an attacker, although it is, of course, on the special side primarily. And Infernape can go either way. And the reason I decided to lean more physical bulk, of course, is because Keldeo, so with Secret Sword, which you can see that it's Resolute form, is going to hit on the physical side anyway. So yeah, I'm not quite sure what to expect him to bring, since the majority of these things he has did not have access to previously, at least not in the format. So let's see. I think Florges, yeah, Florges is the only thing that he did have access to last week. So let's go ahead and take a peek at what we got this week. We got Donphan, who's going to be there pretty much for spin. Oh, that was another big thing I noticed too, was that he has no good way to remove hazards. The best thing he has to remove hazards, Mega Beedrill gets a defog, but that's, unless you're the second coming, that's pretty silly. And then Gliscor gets defog, but it has to not have Poison Heal to have defog, so neither of those are good options. So I decided I was going to bring Spikes. You can see on there on Ferrothorn this week. Also, Spikes pretty much hits everything alright. He's got several things that outright resist Stealth Rock. Of course, Bronzong and Gliscor are going to be immune to them, but to Spikes, that is. But, Bronzong resists SR anyway, and Gliscor is a Gliscor. So, yeah. I figured Spikes would be alright this week, and, also carries the ability to stack them as well. So, Donphan's pretty much just going to be here to spin. He's going to carry Ice Shard just in case, Garchomp and or Gliscor want to come in. Of course, as you can see, they did not. I think we also had Earthquake and Knockoff just for some other utility stuff. Just kind of sit there, come in and spin when I need him to do so. You can see Zapdos, Suicune, and Ferrothorn all very physically defensive. I believe all plus defense nature and close to, if not max. Zapdos, I really liked the Volt Switch stuff that we had going on last week, so I'm going to bring that back again. It's actually pretty much the same set, I believe, except I think I may have, I swapped out Heat Wave and HP Ice because obviously he has a Garchomp and Gliscor, so I figured that would be, as it turns out, of course, I have evidently scared him off from bringing the two things, but, gonna make sure to bring through with the threat Likewise, Suicune going to be bringing Ice Beam, which hopefully should handle Chesnaught pretty well, which is his only thing to hit Suicune super effective with Stab. With Assault Vest, it will be not so much damage, but at least if it's Assault Vest, then it's not going to have Leech Seed and Leftovers Recovery. So hopefully we can wear it down in that case. I'll just have to worry about Drain Punch instead. So yeah, that was one of the things I've been lamenting on Suicune, is that Suicune, you don't have Instant Recovery, you don't have Roost, you don't have Soft Boil like your other two top 3 picks from last year do. But anyway, gonna be running Rest Talk this week, and yeah, just the Skull Beam that you see there. Whimsicott is kind of bringing stuff that Whimsicott likes to bring for us, which is Life Orb. Moonblast is the only attack, because Grass just isn't really going to get me anything. I wasn't super keen on him bringing Omastar, and I figured Omastar would probably die to Moonblast if it's slow enough anyway. So no need for that. And then just throw a quick Seed on there in case it can force a switch, and then, you know, Seeds up, and then that eases a switch into somebody else. And then, of course, Stun Spore, just in case, you know, something like a Scarf Keldeo, like a Scarfed Infernape, comes up and wants to be a pain on my side. Kind of already touched on Pharaoh. I'm going to be the primary Leech Seed user. Also packing Protect to maximize the effectiveness of Leech Seed, as well as scout for any potential hidden power fires and that sort of thing. And then Megalop, you know, as touched upon earlier, he has Garchomp, he has Gliscor, so we're going to be bringing Ice Punch. Was able to get away with Adamant this week. There was really no reason to run Jolly whatsoever. The gap between his speeds are 145 with Mega Beedrill and 108 with Infernape and Keldeo, so can definitely get away with running Adamant. And because of that, I was also able to put in a considerable amount of HP EVs, 84 to be precise, which I think should keep me above a Life Orb Mach Punch. And if it's Choice Banded, or if, you know, I take some entry hazard damage, it might not be so easy to live. But just Ice Punch and the other 3 moves that we typically run: Fake Out, Return, and High Jump Kick. So that pretty much boils it down for the team. You know, we're definitely gonna have to figure out held items and stuff, especially on Ape and Keldeo. Got to get those held items identified as soon as possible, but let's go ahead and get underway. Alright, lead situation is going to be very simple. What is not going to be forced to leave immediately, like hard switch out if he leaves with Infernape. So, once again, it's going to be Zapdos. You know, if I hadn't seen Infernape for whatever reason, I probably would have let out with Pharaoh, but anyway, we see Bronzong's going to lead out, so may as well just go ahead and Volt Switch for some chip damage on that. Does some decent damage. I'm going to assume it's specially defensive, although, I don't know, at that range it's kind of really tough to eyeball it and tell. But Pharaoh comes in, and, you know, he might have HP Fire, but if he does, fine. You know, Bronzong's not exactly Alakazam over here, so I'm just going to go ahead and set up some quick spikes and make sure he has no way to remove them, and that'll be all well and good. Hopefully I can just set up on this Bronzong a little bit anyway. Leech Seed's certainly tempting, but for, you know, first turn, you know, let's go ahead and get spikes up. And since, you know, he's got his hazards, I want mine. Simple as that. So, anyway, Infernape's here, and here, I'm obviously going to switch out, and I decided to go into Coon first and see what he wants to pack, and he wants to pack Close Combat, which, for whatever reason, I was still expecting him to go for Fire, despite Pharaoh being weak to both, and that did a little over half, to the point that Coon is not going to be able to live another one, thanks to that little bit of extra damage from rocks. So, here I'm pulling out my calculator. It's dark in the room when I record, so it's kind of tough, but pulling out the calculator and seeing exactly how many points I took, seeing how much damage I actually would have taken from Stealth Rock, etc. And I end up coming to the consensus that it is a Choice Banded Infernape. That's a Choice Banded Close Combat, which is very good info to have. And here's where I make a very pivotal problem. You can see the timer's ticking down, and I freak out. Well, I don't freak out, but you know, I wander around the calc and see how much Zapdos is going to take versus how much Donphan's going to take. I don't have the time because of needing to, you know, confirm the held item. It's good that I confirmed the held item, but unfortunately I switched Donphan in right here, and that was just not the right thing to do. Like, I mean, you can see he takes well over half. He's going to be 2 at KO'd. And the big takeaway from this is that because Donphan is now under half HP, there's not going to be very many opportunities to spin later in the game, if any at all. So, because of running out of time right there, I'm like, crap, this is going to cost me my spin, and I have Zapdos, who's going to be super important, and spin is something I would really, really like to have. As you can see right there, Close Combat does considerably less to Zapdos, and is absolutely what I should have switched in instead of Donphan, but oh well. Such is the problems of the timer. So I'm just going to pull a quick Roost here because I took a lot of damage from the Close Combat and from that. So yeah, I believe did I roost back to full HP there? I believe I roosted back to full HP there. So I don't think I find out yet that I'm faster than this Drapion, but I do see it as leftovers, so that's nice. Yeah, I don't Volt Switch, so obviously I'm a little afraid that it might outspeed me. Since I'm also likewise, no speed investment in Drapion is relatively fast. He's what, like 95? Yeah, 95. So he could definitely speed treat me. Anyway, Pharaoh comes in, gets knockoff, Iron Barbs, all that stuff, and then proceeds to get taunted. So he can do very little except for potentially Gyro Ball, which is his only attack. And I believe I just switch out here. I could Gyro Ball, which would do decent damage since Drapion does have, relatively high natural speed. I just, I don't really want Infernape to come in and then all that nasty stuff. So I just go ahead and go right back into Falzer and see what happens. And he throws up Toxic Spikes, and now I'm really kicking myself for switching in Donphan earlier like that, and it's gonna be super tough to get a spin-off. I might be able to get a spin-off against Drapion. I can probably live 2 knockoffs, but not with extra damage from Poison. So I'm just gonna go ahead and Volt Switch here, as you saw. Now my leftovers activated first, so therefore I know I am indeed faster. So gets a little bit of damage on this thing with Volt Switch, and then here I would kind of like to Gyro Ball. I would kind of like to do not Gyro Ball at the same time. I would almost consider Protect just to see if he wants to continue to taunt. But ultimately I believe I just click Gyro Ball. It's not going to KO, but it should 2-hit KO from where he's at. So that's what I think what I'm going to go for here. Is he taunts, I'm just going to go ahead and Gyro Ball, which is the only move I can make, and get it off. So fine. From there, that looks like it should definitely pick up the KO with one more. I don't know that he's going to sack it, and the drops in Chesnaught. And here's where I haven't played against Chesnaught very much. I'm aware Bulletproof says Ball and Bomb moves, but come on, it's a high-speed tackle. That is not a projectile. So anyway, I mean, I would have made the move even if I knew Bulletproof blocked Gyro Ball, so oh well, at least it's not a total misplay. Anyway, but I felt bad about it because, I kind of like to pride myself on knowing everything, and that was something I wasn't totally aware of, so that means I can do absolutely nothing to this Chesnaught, so therefore I'm going to get out into Dose and see what he wants to do, which is go Hammer Arm, and then, not do too much. So we see no leftovers, though, so my first thought, because I believe Dan ran a drive, ran a V Chesnaught, is maybe Assault Vest, which I was definitely a little bit afraid of. Thanks to Roost, I don't take too much from the crit Stone Edge, which still doesn't do too much. So I run a quick calc and see how much it would do without the Roost, and it should do round about 40%, so I'm pretty safe. I can definitely live one, and then of course Pressure's the thing as well, so I'm going to be keeping track of those Stone Edges. So I'm going to go ahead and HP Ice here just to try to get some damage on there and attempt to gauge and make sure it is or is not Assault Vest. And so Bronzong's in here, and I'm not sure what it wants to do. It's already set up Stealth Rock. I'm going to definitely Volt Switch out, as my options to attack it are Volt Switch. I mean, I have Toxic as my 4th move if I didn't already say that. So yeah, Volt Switch is the only thing that's going to hit it at least neutrally. And there's no need to Roost. So I'm just going to quickly Volt Switch out here into Gregor, who I would like to get a Roost up with. Get a Rest up with. I guess they both start with R and end with ST. Fair enough. But yeah, I'm not going to be threatened at all by Bronzong, really, regardless. So I'm just going to take this opportunity to pull a quick rest and make up for my switching into Close Combat from Bandit Infernape earlier. So here he's going to Taunt, which is of course going to negate Sleep Talk, and that's rather vexing. However, I can still go ahead and burn the next turn attempting to use Taunt, or, clicking whatever, and, he may well switch out, and going to Infernape would still be kind of, dangerous, because I'll wake up on the turn he gets to attack, and I have Scald, so. However, I would also kind of like to not get this thing's leftovers knocked off if I could, so back into Pharaoh we go. Get those two mixed up still. Good grief. And, here... Okay, I called him out on Taunt last time with Gyro Ball, so I'm kinda hoping that this time he's going to not taunt and will instead go for something else. I'm not sure what else he has. I don't believe EQ might, does it get a fighting move? I know it gets Fire Fang. I'm very well aware it gets Fire Fang because of previous battles with Seaman in 4th gen. But yeah, anyway, so I go ahead and click Spikes, and he does indeed go for that, so fine. So right here, the only move I can click now is Gyro Ball. I haven't shown him Protect, or I might have shown him Leech Seed, but I haven't shown him Protect. So I decide, okay, he's going to go into Chesnaught, and then, so I'm going to go to Zapdos, right? Well, the problem with that thought process was that the first thing I thought was, oh, I'm going to go to Zapdos, and then, as you can see, the timer ticked down a little bit, and I was like, I'd kind of like to send in Suicune against this Drapion. So that's what I did, and I knew Chesnaught was coming in, but I went into Suicune anyway. So right about now, I'm kind of kicking myself again for making a bad switch. And I figured, though, well, now I can scout and see which grass move he has, assuming he does have one, which ends up to be Seed Bomb over Wood Hammer, so cool. And, you know, Zapdos still doesn't take too much damage from it. So in the end, I guess I can pretend that that was just me scouting, but in reality, it was just me making a dumb switch. So I get a Roost up here, and I'm assuming this Drapion drop-in was a sacrifice. That's my best guess, as we've already established that I am faster than it, so yeah. Anyway, as it is, I get Florges back up to full HP, which is going to be very helpful with rocks on the field, and we finally take the first KO of the match 27 minutes in, so I just drop in Suicune because I believe it still has one turn left that it needs to click Sleep Talk. So basically this is just here to attempt to say, hey, don't you be dropping in Infernape, Sork. He drops in Infernape. So, oh my. So, anyway, I can click Sleep Talk here, and, you know, that might roll a Scald, and if he close combats, it'll definitely kill. If he doesn't close combat, I'm not totally sure. I'd like to think a Stab Super Effective Scald would kill, but, yeah, not a very specially attackive Coon. So I'm just going to go ahead and predict close combat, or whatever, going back into Zapdos, gets a crit, U-turn, it's whatever. And in comes Keldeo. Ow, ow, ow. So, yeah, never played against the Keldeo before. My understanding was that this thing was apparently Uber at some point. I don't know. I skipped 5th gen, as many of you know, and yeah, I am not at the best HP right now, so at this point I feel like something probably has to die, and then maybe I go into Mega Lopunny and Fake Out, I don't know. Anyway, we're just gonna hard switch out into Needleman to sack him off, and Hydro Pump, and I don't die. So, okay, well done, Ferrothorn. Because I don't die, you can see there's a little skip in the video and the timer right there. That was me pausing the recording and going back to look how much damage did I exactly take. Based on what I calculate, that is not Specs damage. I see no Life Orb, so therefore that leads me to believe that it is probably a Scarfed Keldeo. So that is very important information to get for later. Here I just kind of assume that he's gonna, you know, go ahead and kill me off. Instead he just switches into Chesnaught, and I could have set up some spikes right there. Not that the second layer is that beneficial, but it would have been better than a Leech Seed, so anyway. He Seed Bombs, and if he had Stone Edge right there, which, you know, I had 1 HP, literally had 1 HP left on Ferrothorn, that probably would have killed Zapdos, assuming it hit. But, oh well. I guess he just didn't want it to miss, and then we get more spikes or something, I don't know. Hammer Armor thing has a chance to miss too, so anyway, as it is, Zapdos is now back up to good HP, and because of learning that he is most likely Scarfed at the very least, you know, not any sort of attack boosting thing, I can take a Hydro Pump, which is cool. He goes Scald instead and gets a burn, and I proceed to Volt Switch. Didn't really expect it to kill, but it certainly did enough, you know, for a no special attack Zapdos, it certainly did, you know, a sufficient amount. So here I decide Donphan, I'm just not going to get a spin off this game. It's just not going to happen, as unfortunate as it is, and this is probably Donphan's best chance to do anything productive this game. You know, I would kind of like to spin in case he wants to switch out Keldeo, keep it for Death Fodder. Just, you know, kind of like I did Ferrothorn right there. Switch it out, just, you know, a little 1 HP Death Fodder guy, because I feel like I'm going to need Death Fodder again at some point in this game, so let me not use it against a Chesnaught that I can just switch Zapdos in on. again, unless he goes Stone Edge. So instead, I just go ahead and pick up Ice Shard KO on Keldeo, and that's a big threat out of the way. I mean, of course, it would have been in range for a Megalop Fake Out, but as you know. So, just go down to Infernape's U-turn, which is, that's fine. I'll get Switch Initiative on whatever he wants to drop in, which is Florges. All the time, I'm also considering Mach Punch is a very real thing that I have to be worried about if I come in for a late Mega Lopunny sweep, so I really want to get Ape down to about 40% or so, little under than that, little less than that maybe, so that I can just fake it out and kill it that way, because Abandoned Mach Punch will almost certainly kill. So I just drop in Zapdos here just to start getting some roost up, since I'm pretty sure I'm going to be faster, which I am, of course. And the burn is being a problem, but Moonblast is thankfully not doing too much. I was also kind of afraid of a Calm Minding Florges, but again, I did have Toxic if I needed to press the Toxic button so that Calm Mind Florges didn't become a major issue, then I could well have done. Thankfully, though, we're just going to keep clicking Roost. I plan on roosting at least one more time here, and probably would have roosted again before throwing a Toxic out there. As it is, here's Infernape against Zapdos, and I think at this point I'm just going to eat whatever it is he's going to throw at me, and probably just Volt Switch out. So either Switch Initiative or hopefully get the Infernape dead. And Chesnaught comes in, and Volt Switch out. Doesn't do very much at all, so by this point I've pretty much confirmed that it is Assault Vest. And who are we going to drop in here? Well, we could drop in... Can't drop in Needleman anymore. He's at 1 HP, so he's just going to get outsped. His only remaining use on the team is going to be some Death Fodder and or Differential. So Suicune, I believe, is still asleep. And because he's AV, I don't think Ice Beam's actually going to kill. So instead I decide to drop in Windman, who, a non-AV one, gets one-shotted, I believe, by Moonblast or darn close to it. So I figure even with AV at that much HP, you should still be able to have it. I kind of wanted to go Leech Seed predicting a switch, especially since he didn't seem to have that much to hit Windman with. Stone Edge with Poison might have gotten it. But anyway, as it is, just go ahead and drop in that. And yeah, make sure we don't take a Gyro Ball with Whimsicott. Let's take over the Suicune instead. And Gregor actually still has leftovers, which I believe I actually forgot at some point. And then I realized, oh, hey, I still have leftovers. I didn't get them knocked off. That's quite convenient. So here I Sleep Talk and Ice Beam, which is awesome. Seeing that damage, yep, that at this point in the match, I determined, yep, that's 100% definitely Assault Vest. And thankfully, I'm able to wake up on that turn and take him out with another Ice Beam, which I guess if I had rolled a Scald there, I also would have been able to. I actually thought about clicking Scald there, just in case he switched, but anyway, so Kun is now, as long as it can stay at decent HP, is looking pretty good for the rest of the game. He's still got an Infernape left, which is certainly scary, especially with Mach Punch to clean up Megalop. But he actually drops in Bronzong here, and that's kind of what I want. I don't think this Bronzong can really touch me. I see Earthquake, and we've seen Gyro Ball. He throws Toxic on there as well, which is, nice, but I have Rest, so... at the very least, I think Toxic is actually going to be doing about as much damage as EQ is doing. So, anyways, kicking it asleep, and yeah, Bronzong, of course, one of the major weaknesses, it doesn't have instant recovery, so just gonna keep on clicking Scald. And then Infernape drops in, and it's definitely getting really low. I would like to get at least an Ice Beam so that Fake Out can proceed to kill it. And it would be nice if I rolled Scald. Just please roll me anything but Rest. If I roll Rest, I either have to sack Kun, or else at that point I'd probably just switch out to Pharaoh, sack him. But here we go, Sleep Talk. What do I roll? I roll Scald, and there goes the Infernape. And now all he has left is Florges and the almost half-dead, I guess, Bronzong. And neither of those things are super duper duper threatening to Suicune. And at this point, Megalop should be pretty okay as long as I can get some decent damage on the Florges, or if it's a not physically invested heavily Florges. But anyway, I could just kind of let Kun go down here and go into other things, but I'm going to be super ruthless and attempt to, if I can, go for a 5-0. So Kun's sitting at about half, and this is certainly a little bit dangerous. If he does decide to start Calm Minding here, the fact that he didn't earlier leads me to believe he's probably not going to be a Calm Minding set. But obviously I don't have to worry about Toxic since I have Rest. and go ahead and get a Scald Burn there, which is going to be great, as that's going to make sure he's at low HP. It's going big thing is it's going to negate the usefulness of him using Protect. He's going to be losing HP on Protect, so he wouldn't be able to Protect on my Fake Out, which is going to be would have been the main way I would have tried to deal with him with Megalopening. But he's not wishing here, and the fact that he's not basically just clicking Moonblast over and over again kind of leads me to believe that he's basically waving the white flag with the white Florges, no less. Somewhat appropriate there. But I'm just gonna again be kind of, you can call it bad manners, you can call it ruthless, but we're gonna keep in here with Coon, and as he seems intent to just keep clicking Moonblast, and I'm just gonna once again here I could just let Suicune go down, go into Megalop, and kill it with a return, but nope. Gonna click Rest and kind of make this go on a little bit longer than it potentially should have. We do actually have a rule against clicking Run in the GBA, even though I think this was probably a scenario where it might have been all right, but whatever, it's there. So it's just gonna be kind of stalling out here the last few turns with Suicune, and we're gonna pick up a 5-0 victory as he Protects to make sure he goes down to the burn damage. And that's gonna be it. And if you look really closely here, the last KO, boom, 333 happens at 333 exactly. I'm pretty happy about that. So yeah, that makes 2 nice meaty wins back to back, going plus 11 in differential these last 2 weeks. Definitely got to feel good about that, putting some distance from myself to the rest of the pack. Currently, of course, still leading the Silver Division by a fairly large margin in terms of differential, although Adam's still keeping it close in the win-loss column. But yeah, when you play a winless team, you kind of don't, get a chance to make a statement win. So kind of the only statement you can make is on the scoreboard, which is in reality the only thing that really matters at the end of the day, at the end of the season anyway. And that's thankfully something we were able to do this week. So. Hopefully Sork will find his footing in the league. Definitely been a rough opening, starting 0-2 and inheriting an 0-2 team. So he's definitely shown he can make some crazy trades, and totally changed that roster, which was pretty cool to see. Definitely, I've enjoyed having him in here. It's definitely made for an interesting early season developments going on. It's pretty interesting. So yeah, we will also get a rematch. I believe in the Week 12 season finale, so it'll definitely be interesting to see where he goes from here and comes back for the season finale. And yeah, definitely looking forward to that rematch. And maybe he'll get it turned around, or maybe he'll just experiment and use this as a test season. It's always weird coming in mid-season, so I'll come back better for next year. But anyway, gotta go ahead and show Pokemon of the game. It's got to be Suicune this week with 4 KOs, no deaths. Really was kind of the thing that set the tone, despite being the 6th Pokemon added, if that makes any sense. The last couple of weeks kind of gone with a little bit more, I want to say a little more offensive approach. I'd say a little more of a balanced approach, I guess. Throwing in some big offense along with the bulk. And even though there's been some wild rumors that I'm running hyper offense, what in the world is this nonsense? But anyway, definitely more of the what you would expect, the more bulkier team this week, and that was due in part to Suicune. I was originally considering actually using Hydreigon against him, just as a backup powerhouse, as well as because I think it's one of his favorite pokes, so I kind of wanted to use it against him. Ended up, though, deciding with Suicune when I saw that Scald and Ice Beam kind of deal well with his entire team. Coon, dealt with Zapdos. Dealt with Garchomp, sorry. It was just pretty solid. So I decided to make that the 6th guy, and that kind of set the tone for when I wasn't totally sure about the rest of the sets. Decided to go with the more bulky approach, and of course, as you just saw, Suicune just had that longevity. I was able to restore HP with the rest, and then he had things like Bronzong and Chesnaught with the Salt Vest, so it didn't have access to leftovers or Leech Seed. It might have had Drain Punch. If he did, he never went for it. Despite having 2 Wish Passers in the form of Florges and Umbreon, which Yeah, I don't think I ever used Wish, actually, so, you know, just was able to wear stuff down, and, you know, the end game plan was to come in with Mega Lopunny and, you know, clean stuff up, but that ended up to not even be necessary, so, and of course there was that excellent roll of Scald, which, you know, I also switched into a Sleep Talk, so I could have theoretically gotten it then as well, but definitely, you know, getting Scald on one of those two Sleep Talks was very beneficial to go ahead and get that Infernape out of there. I feel like I probably would have still been able to pull out the win, but it most likely would not have been a 5-0, so definitely a helpful differential padding Scald roll right there. Looking ahead to next week, we got another home game, and this one's going to be probably the premier matchup in the Silver Division that you're going to see this year. It is Adam, TNA TV, and the Anaheim Mighty Ducklets coming to town, and you can see we both coming in at 3-1. At the present time, it's kind of a two-man race between he and I for the top of the Silver Division, as the other two teams are 0-4 with differentials round about -12 and -13. So yeah, you will, however, notice there is a rather large gap in differential there. In fact, there is a 11-point gap in differential there, and that is because Adam tends to win close games. I think he lost the 2-0, he won a 2-0, and he won two 1-0s. That was a jumble of words I just said. Suffice to say, Adam generally keeps it pretty close, so he hasn't had the big blowout wins like we've had these past 2 weeks. So it gives you an edge in differential, but again, with a win next week, he overtakes first place in the division. So we're definitely going to have to attempt to prevent that from happening and try to get a game up on him. He's pretty much been neck and neck with me right there in terms of games won for the duration of the season so far. So, in fact, I believe in the opening week, he was the only Johto Conference team to record a win over the Kanto Conference. So, at the very least, he's got that. You know, he is an expansion team, of course, so he's kind of got a gimped roster, but at the same time, he's also a fantastic coach. I'm pretty sure he made the D-League finals, right? Yeah, because he beat Miguel in the first round of the D-League playoffs. So, and he had, you know, the scariest team coming in. I think he was the first seed, won his way through the D-League qualifier tournament to get the first pick and whatnot. So definitely a very respectable player, and will be pretty difficult to take down. So we'll have to see what we can bring against him. And he also just picked up, did get a successful free agent pickup, which is, I believe, he dropped Vileplume for Venomoth. So gonna have to potentially prepare for that now as well. Late addition to his roster. So yeah, look forward to that one, guys. It's gonna be an exciting one, I think, next week, seeing if we can stay on top of the division or cede the spot to Adam. One of the two. Later days.